Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a very accomplished professional from the UK, Mr. Bunty S Shah. Bunty, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Ash, and thank you very much for inviting me to your podcast show.
Thank you. Bunty is the founder of Do Good Sewa. He's also been associated or founded the Potters Bar Indians. He's associated with Oshawal Connect. And as I would say in his spare time, he's the finance director for a large timber and builder merchants in London since 1992. So looks like he does so much good work and so much seva around all over the UK that I'm just saying, that he's the finance director, but he seems to have a lot of time for doing a lot of other things. So, Bunty, let's start by asking you about your own amazing journey.
So, Ash, thank you very much for the wonderful intro. You've massaged my ego immensely, so I do appreciate that. Mm-hmm. So look, Do Good Sewa is a new Facebook page I started up at the beginning of this year. And the thinking behind it was I run many Facebook groups and many Facebook pages that embrace communities. So the idea was to have just one umbrella, do good. Do good meaning doing good things in the community. Seva meaning a selfless deed, right?
Service, yeah.
So a service. So basically I wanted to create this page, and that then just gives one portal for groups that I'm involved in or run or founded, and including the pages as well. So you briefly touched on in the intro about Potters Bar Indians. So Potters Bar Indians was my first group that I started almost 10 years ago. We actually celebrate the 10th anniversary this year on May the 3rd. And I'm extremely proud of this small, tiny group in this leafy suburb in Hertfordshire, just on the boundaries of London in England, because it's great. It's demonstrated what you can achieve when you take out religion and politics. So the purpose of the group is to unite Indians that live in this predominantly white suburb, Potters Bar, together by celebrating Indian festivities, regardless of religion. So it could be Holi, it could be Diwali, it could be Jain festivals, it could be Sikh festivals, it could be English festivals like Christmas and Easter.
Yeah.
So that was the one purpose. And also we encourage these Indians to spend money locally to help the local economy. So the wider community then welcome us a lot more. When we go to pubs, restaurants, they love seeing Potters Bar Indians stroke PBIs as they're now known. And they welcome with arms, and it's great. So it's really nice to see a buzz in Potters Bar, where we have a very small Indian community. I mean, the group itself has around 750 members on Facebook, and we have another 200 plus members on a WhatsApp group aimed at the older generation. So my feeling is we never call people old in Potters Bar. We call them wise. So we named this group called Potters Bar Wise, because as youngsters, wise people out there, we can learn a lot from them, and we should listen to them, and we should learn from them. When I listen to stories about people back in Kenya and in India, religion never used to come into communities. They would, they would celebrate Diwali or celebrate Eid with their Muslim friends or Hindu friends or Jain friends. Religion never used to come into it. It's all about community. So I'm hoping to bring that back through what, we've been kind of learning off these wise members. So it's great. And, I'm really excited to be celebrating 10 years this year.
Yes,
we've got a couple of big events this year. We're going to be doing a methyl night in June, which will have around 400 to 500 people. We'll be raising money for good causes in Kenya for that. And we'll be celebrating Navratri in October later this year, which again will have around 400 people. And it's great. Leafy suburb in Hertfordshire. It's fantastic.
Interesting. So tell me, when you talk of Potters Bar Indians, and then you say that you go beyond religion and politics, isn't that a contradiction in itself when it comes to Indians?
It can be. Do you know what? It was difficult
because Indians love religion and they love politics.
They do, but being Indian, we've got to remember, if you look at India religious-wise is so diverse. You have a lot of Christians, you have a lot of Hindus, Jains, Sikhs, Buddhists. So it's endless. So I think what we need to do is, if you want to build it, see, what I found is over the years, I don't know what it's like where you are, but certainly in England, I found, if I look at my own personal community, there's a decline of youngsters going to temples or mandirs. And I think there's been too much focus on religion. Young kids, they can't understand religion. They may find it boring. So I think if you make communities a bit more fun, where it's a little bit more engaging and a bit more educational, why we celebrate certain things. If I spoke to my 17-year-old son and I said to him, do you know when Maria's birthday is, or do you know why we celebrate Prajasan? He probably wouldn't know the answer. So it's really, really important for us to celebrate all festivities, regardless of religious backgrounds, and educate youngsters, and then they can make an informed decision whether they want to religion or not.
I agree.
And your point on politics, you're right. Indians love a bit of politics, and it's great, it's healthy. But what I find is, as soon as you start involving politics and religion in a community group, it causes division.
Absolutely.
My aim is not to divide people.
I
want to bring people together. I want to unite people together. And the only way you can do that is with a common goal, is by celebrating communities. So what we find at our Potters Bar Indians events is, when people come to our pub socials, which are very popular, doesn't matter what car you drive, doesn't matter what house you live in, they're all there because they want to meet new people and network. And that is the common goal. And that's how you bring communities together.
I agree. So tell me again, coming back to Potters Bar Indians, you said that you call the older people wise. What is the advantage that a lot of the younger people get when they network with so many of the older people who are PBIs?
So look, I think the best way I can describe that is, you guys, I'm gonna include you in the wise category. So I do apologize. You guys have a wealth of experience. When you're 20-something and you're starting off in your career, it's very easy to dismiss that. We all get it. Even my son does it to me. I know better than you, Dad. But what I don't understand is, when you listen to people's stories and their life experiences, what they've experienced, you can gain a lot of knowledge, and then you can apply that in your career or your day-to-day life. So I think there is a lot to be learned. And when I look at members on our PBI-wise, we've got an ex-director of Bank of Baroda on there, a lovely guy. We've got several businessmen on there, who run chains of shops in central London. These are all talented people who have contributed, to the economy here, and there's lots of things to learn from them.
Well said. Well said. And I think, Bunty, have been using social media very, very effectively to be able to bring a community together. Tell me, for our viewers and listeners, how are you using social media, and more particularly Facebook, to not just build, but to hold your community together?
So let's talk about Oshawal Connect. So Potters Bar Indians was the inspiration, or the template behind Oshawal Connect. So Oshwals are a large community, a large Jain community in England. To kind of give you some ideas, it started off 457 BC in India.
Wow.
And in the 1950s, Oshwal started to migrate to the UK and start, living here. So I think currently there's around, don't quote me on this, I'm going to guess here, probably get told off, is around 30,000 Oshwals in this country. They have a big presence in Kenya as well, and obviously in Mumbai and Ahmedabad, those sort of areas. And there's starting to be a big presence in Australia and the USA and Canada as well. They're starting to grow. And, just like I'm sure you have nieces and nephews, as they get older, they travel when they decide to live abroad. That's what Indians tend to do, right? We seem to move abroad. And the thinking behind Oshawal Connect was what I found was, in my local Derasa temple in Northall, near Potters Bar, there was a decline in youth coming to volunteer and run. So I thought, you know what, let me start a platform based on the principles of Potters Bar Indians, have the no religion, no politics, and focus on the community aspect of it, and start this Facebook group. So I co-founded the group with my cousin Chetan, who has a media background, and we started it during lockdown in 2021, and currently we have 7,500 members globally.
Wow.
Around just over 15 countries. And it's been a phenomenal journey. It's been a learning curve for me as well, because one of the key things that's come out of this group is inspiration. We have found so much talent within our global Oshawal community in terms of art, media, business entrepreneurs, singing, artists all around the world. Phenomenal. And the list is endless. We found Oshwals in China who have been awarded an MBE for saving people's lives during the first wave of the pandemic. We've got a chap called Manu Chandaria, a billionaire who's based in Kenya. He actually gave me a call because what we do is, for the last 2 years, we've been awarding New Year's honours, an Oshawal New Year honour. And it's to acknowledge the unsung heroes in our community. So very seldom, very often you can get an award, whether it's industrial based or politically based, you get an award. And what we find is, wouldn't it be nice if people wrote in and nominated someone, so it becomes a People's Award? So every year we put a post up and we encourage people to nominate unsung heroes. So this year we had the end of last year, we had a record 256 nominations by email. And we had a tough job, my cousin and I, selecting which ones, that should get the award. So we shortlisted it to 30 awardees. And it was great because we had 30 finalists from 12 different countries around the world. We had some kids in there as well. One of the kids is a semi-professional golfer at the age of 13. We have the youngest ever Oshawal climbing Mount Kenya at the age of 7. I obviously mentioned kind of Oshawal pioneers like Manu Chandaria. There was a chap called Kishore Shah.
So tell me, do these Oshwals also do work which is beyond your community?
So in terms of what, helping other people?
Helping other people?
Yes. So what I find in Kenya specifically, there were the terrorist attacks at the shopping mall in Kenya. The Oshawal community are very good to get together, and they obviously provided support and stuff like that. In the UK, as far as I'm aware, OA UK do work with other charities and obviously help them as well. So obviously what we do in Oshawal Connect is basically to heighten the talent that we've got globally, not just in the UK, and encourage youth engagement. So on our group, 70% of our group is probably below the age of 45. So we've got very good youth engagement on our group, and we have a presence on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. So wherever these Oshawals are, our mission is there to find them and to encourage them to join.
And within the Jain community, there must be many other smaller groups as well. Do you all interact with one another?
So I believe in terms of our group, we're concentrating on the community aspect, which is the Oshawal community.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's what we do.
So let me come back now to Do Good Sewa. You said that you created this Facebook page. Tell me about it and what are your activities?
So in terms of the Do Good Sewa page, so again, it's only a few weeks old, and the mindset was to put everything together. So a friend of mine and myself, we run several tiffin groups. Tiffin's are little lunch boxes, for those of you who don't know what tiffins are. So we've got around 20,000 members just in London, where people, again, it's another form of Sewa. They're all non-profit making groups. So people who make tiffins at home can promote their tiffin service on the group. And if you want a tiffin, you can get one. That's as far as it goes in terms of discussion. It's not a platform where you would write reviews and stuff like that. It's basically purely supply and demand. The thinking behind it was the chap who founded it, Rajesh Kakad. He had a parent who was unwell, and he was struggling to feed that parent. So he decided then to look for a tiffin, and he found it very difficult in London to find a tiffin, somebody who would make vegetarian cooking, home food. So he decided to create this tiffin group, and there it's kind of grown. I came on board, and I'm really enjoying the journey with him. It's great fun because we're doing lots of good. And when you hear stories like, you know what, if it wasn't for this tiffin, my son at Nottingham University wouldn't have got a tiffin. And it's become. So we do have one that serves Northern England as well, which is Indian tiffins, north of England and Midlands. And another group that I've created, which I've got Raj helping me as well on that, is Indian cooks and home help. So in London now, especially with a lot of professionals, what we're finding is their lives are too busy. And this group provides them a lifeline when it comes to looking for nannies, home help, or if they just want to get someone to pick their kids up after school because they're coming home late from work, or if they're having a dinner party at home and they want someone to cook for them, they can find someone on there. So on there, we have around 10,000 people. The other Facebook page that I run is called Navratri Food Bank Awareness. It's an initiative that myself and my cousin Sagar started up some 9 years ago in 2014. It started off very small, and it then ended up becoming a national campaign where a UK national charity called Sewa Day partnered with us. And the thinking behind it, as the name suggests, was to raise awareness of UK food banks during the Hindu festival of Navratri. So the idea was, in England, when we have Navratri, we get many hundreds of people coming. Some of them even have thousands of people coming. So the mindset was, when people are fasting or enjoying coming to Navratri, the food they wouldn't have otherwise eaten, or the food that they've got surplus at home, they could then donate it at the event, and then the organizers from those events could deliver those food packages to a local food bank. So food bank,
all the food that you are giving out, whether it's through food bank awareness or through tiffin groups, is this free, or do you charge for it?
So in terms of the tiffin group, it's just a portal where people can post up their tiffin service, or they can buy the tiffin service. So it's a non-profit group. So the people who are making money on it, if they are making money, are individuals on it. All we're doing is provide that platform to provide that service in the form of Sewa. In terms of the Navratri Food Bank, that is all donations, complete donations. All we're doing is raising awareness of the food banks, mainly the largest network of food banks in the UK, run by the Trussell Group. That's what we.
And now coming to you, you handle so many different things, from your finance director role to Do Good Sewa, Potters Bar Indians, Oshawal Connect. How do you find the time, and what is your motivation to keep doing it?
So I think, look, it's very, very easy. I get asked this all the time. Where do you get the time? And my simple answer is, you make the time. A lot of people, they like watching cricket, or like watching football, or like going to the pub and having a drink. I'm not a big fan of those. I get a kick, or I get a buzz out of doing good Sewa. For me, that's the biggest reward. And I enjoy watching things grow. And I'm lucky to have a huge team behind me. All these platforms, they don't run just because of me. I do have a team behind me that support me, help me, and they run it. And you know what? They're fantastic. And I like sharing. I like watching people grow, because from that, they get some enjoyment. And hopefully they experience what I experience. Unfortunately, with these things, when you have a social presence, they do come with a few negative vibes. And it's taken me a long, long time to realize that this negative vibe is a small percentage, and you have to focus on the big percentage. There's an old saying, I can't remember who said it, but maybe you'll know it is, if you want to make everyone happy, you sell ice cream, right? And you're never going to make everyone happy. There's always going to be somebody who complains or doesn't like something you do. But as long as you're meeting the demands for 99% of your audience, then that for me is an achievement. And, I don't know about yourself, because I know you're very accomplished. We were, as a family, we were trolled a lot last year. We had a lot of online abuse, even WhatsApps and stuff. And my feeling now, looking back on it.
Why were you trolled? What was the reason?
So I think it was to do with, members from my community didn't like maybe the things we were doing. There was a bit of jealousy, that sort of stuff. And they were just kind of mudslinging, to be perfectly honest, and to tarnish my reputation. And look, I had 3 months of counselling last year, professional counselling, because when you can't protect your family as a man, you feel like it's a defeat. And it took me a long time to realize that, whatever these guys are doing, there must be a reason behind it, and we must forgive them. We must move on and focus on the mission at hand is in a positive manner.
Yeah.
We want to unite communities. And that's my mission. That's all I want to do.
Wonderful.
I don't need financial gain out of any of this.
No, I understand.
I do good.
Wonderful. So my time for one more question. And this question is for the many people who will listen to us. Based on your own amazing journey and all the philanthropic work that you're doing and so much seva you're doing, what would you say are 3 lessons you want our viewers and listeners to take away?
I think the key thing is, if you want to make a difference, I would suggest that you volunteer, whether it be a small charity or your local school, or you get involved in your local community. And if you want to do even more, then you get elected to be to kind of represent your community. Correct. My wife at the moment it's just been announced that she's going to be standing for a award in Potters Bar for the Conservative Party. And a lot of people in Potters Bar, they moan this is wrong and that's wrong. So I'm delighted that she's took the initiative to actually make a difference locally by standing. That's the only way you're going to change things. It's very easy for us to be keyboard warriors and say this is wrong. But until you make that difference, nothing will change. So it's very, very important. You have to be the change. I think that's the key thing.
Very good. And on that note, Bunty, and your amazing lessons, which is number 1, you said was volunteer to make a difference. And second, you have to be the change. Thank you so much for speaking to me about your own journey, about the amazing work that you're doing with Do Good Sewa, Potters Bar Indians, and Oshawal Connect, and all the other work that you're doing to support your community. Thank you for speaking to me, and good luck.
Thank you, Ash. Much appreciated for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.